After the first couple weeks of the season, it's become clear that the Toronto Raptors dodged a major bullet with one of the decisions they made this offseason. So we'll discuss that, including Scottie Barnes once again getting disrespected by NBA analysts despite his remarkable start to this year. So lots of stuff to break down. Without further ado, let's jump into the first topic of discussion. The first thing we're taking a look at is the Raptors dodging a bullet. Now, there was a lot of criticism thrown the front office's way based on how they handled this offseason. Basically, how everything went down, not trading Fred VanVleet at the deadline, letting him walk for nothing over the course of the summer, and people were split on their feelings for Fred as well as Nick Nurse. Him ended up getting canned and sort of scapegoated for the poor season that the Raptors had last year. And the jury's still out in terms of whether or not the front office made some good decisions, bad decisions. We're still very early into this year. But one thing has been proven. One thing has shown through that there was there was a bullet that was dodged, like Masai Ujiri was in the Matrix this offseason. That really worked out well for the Toronto Raptors, because with Fred VanVleet gone, there was a couple other point guard targets that the Raptors were actively involved with sort of potentially picking up in order to fill that hole that was left with Fred VanVleet out at the point guard position. Obviously, it was filled by Dennis Schroeder. However, one guy ended up signing before the Raptors even had an opportunity to pick him up. Apparently, there was a decision between the Lakers and the Raptors in terms of getting this guy, but Gabe Vincent was someone that the Toronto Raptors were very high on, along with their fans. Basically, we saw old reports come out saying that keep an eye on Toronto for providing Gabe Vincent a landing spot if Fred VanVleet ultimately departs the Raptors. He did depart the Raptors, but he was already signed by the time Fred VanVleet was gone. And Gabe Vincent's an interesting piece. He's an interesting guy. He was really good for the Miami Heat. He was a Kyle Lowry understudy. And frankly, even myself on these videos was saying, hey, Gabe Vincent would be an interesting pickup. Another understudy to Kyle, right? It'd be a cool story, right? Him coming in, trained by the Raptors, growth, had some big playoff moments, and all those types of things. However, with an elevated opportunity now with the LA Lakers, even though D'Angelo Russell has been very solid, the Lakers just brought this to my attention over the past week or so, and then I saw something posted on Reddit about it. But basically, Gabe Vincent has not been holding up his sort of value that it was projected when he was signed this offseason. Basically, despite the fact his numbers have never been insane, over the course of his career, they were a lot better last year. But this season so far, in the first part of this season, only averaging 6 points per game. Dealt with some injuries as well, but the number that's really glaring, that's brutal, at the eyesight of it, just looking at it, 7% from behind the three-point line, as well as 50% from the free throw line. So Gabe Vincent, a guy that was supposed to be coming in, potentially being a shooter, potentially being that starting guard for the Toronto Raptors, is currently shooting 7% from behind the three-point line. And people were frustrated. They were yelling, screaming at the top of their lungs that, we should have moved quicker on Fred VanVleet's decision. We should have been more aware that, hey, if Fred VanVleet's gone, you need to pick up guys like Vincent, pick up guys like whoever's out there on the market, because the tap was dry. And Dennis Schroeder, definitely over the past couple years, it's not a roller coaster of an NBA career. I guess his entire NBA career, but some really poor stints with the Boston Celtics and Houston Rockets. Redeemed his value last year with the LA Lakers a good chunk. But again, Dennis Schroeder, a lot of people seem to be higher on Gabe Vincent than Dennis Schroeder, but that has certainly been a misguided sort of judgment, a misguided evaluation in terms of these two guards. Because you look at what Dennis Schroeder has been able to provide for the Toronto Raptors this season, and it's not even close. It's not even the same ballpark. Dennis Schroeder's averaging 17 points per game, 9 assists, 3 rebounds, 46% from the field, 42% from behind the three-point line, much better than 7%, and obviously the free throws, shooting 77% from the free throw line. I mean, worlds better than what Gabe Vincent has been able to provide the LA Lakers, and frankly is looking like a bargain in terms of the contract that we'd be giving him. He's a guy that's tops in the league in assists. He's up there with Halliburton. He's up there with CP3. He's up there with all the top assist getters. He's in that conversation, in those discussions in terms of being a facilitator. He's bought in. He provides energy on the defensive end. He's great. And even on nights where the Toronto Raptors haven't looked that good, Dennis Schroeder has always brought the energy, has always brought the sort of, that mentality to say, hey, we're going to keep pushing, we're going to keep rolling. And regardless of where this Toronto Raptors season goes, because again, it's been an absolute whirlwind in terms of highs and lows and all that type of stuff. But Schroeder was a good pickup, was a very solid signing for the Toronto Raptors, especially at his price. And worst comes to worst, the Toronto Raptors end up bottoming out. We start to have some stretches, games like we've had against the Sixers, like some of our competition at the start of this year, then sure will be a valuable trade chip. I mean, looking at that stats, right? 17-9. That's a ridiculous numbers for a point guard. And comparing that to Gabe Vincent's 6-3, again, has dealt with some injuries, so maybe it's a little bit of a skewed stat there. But the 7% from the 3-point line, something that doesn't lie. Doesn't you can't misjudge that. But I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about the Toronto Raptors. Signing Dennis Schroeder over Gabe Vincent over some guys over this offseason. Heck, people are saying Dennis Schroeder's better than Fred, which, frankly, this version of Dennis Schroeder has been better than the version of Fred VanVleet that we saw for the Toronto Raptors last year. So, interesting stuff there. We'll see how that all plays out, but Raptors definitely dodged a bullet making that decision. And the second topic we're discussing is Scottie Barnes being disrespected by ESPN. Now, there was a lot of people down on Scottie Barnes coming into this year, given the fact he didn't take a major leap going into it. Well, during his second year, he looked very similar to what he was doing during his rookie year, didn't take that jump, and again, wasn't a focal point in the offense, wasn't key factor in Nick Nurse's sort of system. Guys like Scottie, guys like Fred, heck, even guys like Gary Trent Jr. at times, OG Anunoby, seem to be higher in the pecking order than a Scottie Barnes. So there's that factor that you can discuss about. And personally, you got to improve a little bit, especially from the jump shots. It did improve a tad bit last season, especially the mechanics, even if the percentages didn't look tremendously better, didn't look like a tremendous improvement, but didn't take the jump that really anyone wanted to see. Now, I've always been a Scottie Barnes guy, but I've never been a Scottie Barnes is the better than sliced bread. This is the best player in the league, future superstar guaranteed. I think he has that potential. I think if he puts that work in, he could potentially grow into that superstar caliber player, but it's not a guaranteed thing. You need to see it. It's not like Victor Wembanyama kind of looking at him being like, okay, it's a sure thing over his first couple seasons. But now what we've seen from Scottie Barnes, the jump he's taken from year 2 to year 3, he put the work in. He put the energy in. He has the right mentality coming into this season, and he's looking like a 1A option on this Toronto Raptors squad. Again, as we talked about the Gabe Vincent stuff, it's still early in the season, but Scottie Barnes is taking that jump that all of us were hoping for him to take. The potential we knew was there, but obviously it's not a guaranteed thing with these guys taking those jumps. We've seen a lot of guys with potential never really take those leaps, but the fact that Scottie Barnes did has me extremely excited. And after this first stretch of games, after the performance he's put up, after all these stat lines, ESPN put out a little ranking in terms of the best young players in the NBA, and Scottie Barnes was ranked 15th in the league. And this is under players under 25, and Scottie Barnes, 22 years old, putting on 23 points per game, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, and lots of blocks per night as well. Scottie Barnes has been absolutely ridiculous this season. He was put behind some interesting competition, some interesting players on this ESPN list. Basically, Paolo, again, very strong, good player, rookie of the year, all that type of stuff. But this season, only 17.5 points per game, 6.2 rebounds, 5.5 assists. Again, not that Scottie Barnes' stats are pretty elite comparison to Paolo. Maybe they're looking at Scottie Barnes not having the greatest year last year. But there's a lot of sort of things in Paolo's game which have me skeptical. Scottie Barnes is sort of a well-rounded guy that's taken the leap into stardom this year, whereas Paolo's kind of got that star power in terms of scoring and things, but outside of putting the ball in the hoop, the buckets, again, he's a bit mobile. He needs to put on some weight if this Magic are going to continue to push for him to potentially be the future center of that squad. I don't know. Scottie Barnes is just much more well-rounded. Paolo can pass. I don't want to disrespect Paolo. I think Scottie Barnes should be ahead of him, though. And then we also have Evan Mobley. And this is the one that confuses me. Because, yes, Mobley is good. Mobley is a great player and all that type of stuff. But 15 points, 12 rebounds, 3.4 assists. He's long. He deflects shots. He's a good defender. He's mobile, all that type of stuff. But everything, all the criticism you see about Scottie Barnes, he didn't take that second-year jump. He didn't do this. He didn't do that. Evan Mobley was in the exact same boat. And the entire time, he did it kind of less good numbers than Scottie Barnes, frankly. He's a bit taller, sure. But he's a worse shooter. So he's a good defender. There's comparables. Scottie Barnes is more of a wing defender and looked disengaged at times last year. Has been very engaged for the start of the season on the defensive end. But offensively, Scottie Barnes knocks down those shots. He facilitates a lot better. He's a slasher. He's a ball handler, all that type of stuff. I don't get the Evan Mobley over Scottie Barnes hype. Thankfully, this list also had Scotty over what's called Franz Wagner. But yeah, those are the two guys that had me very confused, particularly Evan Mobley. I don't really see where that's coming from. I guess he's tall and all that type of stuff. How old is Evan Mobley? Again, 22 years old as well. I'm putting Scottie Barnes over two of those guys here in this list. I also saw Chet Holmgren, who again has been good. Don't want to take anything away from these young star players, but I'm ranking Scottie Barnes ahead of those guys day in, day out. But let me know what you guys think about all this Toronto Raptors news. You guys are the best to make it this far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.